Rafael Leão has publicly broken his silence on his future at AC Milan, and the statement sent shockwaves across European football, with Manchester United firmly in the conversation. Leão arrived at AC Milan in 2019 and quickly established himself as one of the most exciting wingers in Serie A. He was a central figure in Milan's 2021-22 Scudetto title win, their first league title in 11 years, and at that point he was widely regarded as a future club legend. His pace, dribbling, and ability to unlock defenses made him one of the most dangerous forwards in European football. Milan fans adored him. The club invested in him. His release clause was set at an eye-watering £87 million, a figure that reflected just how highly the club valued him. But fast forward to the 2025-26 season and the picture looks completely different. This season, Leão managed just 10 goals and 3 assists across 34 appearances in total. In the Serie A, he recorded 9 goals and 3 assists in 29 league games. More alarmingly, he contributed 0 goals and 0 assists in European competition, a striking drop in output for a player once considered a €100 talent. So what went wrong? The first major issue is tactical. Under manager Massimiliano Allegri's 3-5-2 system, Leão has been deployed as a striker rather than in his natural position as a wide forward. That shift has restricted his effectiveness significantly. Leão thrives in wide areas, cutting inside, running at defenders with space. Pinning him centrally has neutralized his greatest strengths and contributed directly to his declining numbers. The second issue is physical. Leão played through 5 months of a groin inflammation this season, a serious injury that clearly impacted both his performance and his availability. Playing through that kind of injury for such an extended period would compromise any player's contribution, and Leão was no exception. These two factors, combined tactical misuse and a prolonged injury, explain why a player of his caliber produced numbers that on paper look underwhelming for a player of his price tag. But rather than stay silent and ride out the frustration, Leão chose to speak. He made an open public statement hinting that he is ready for a fresh challenge. He did not name a specific club, but the intent was clear: Leão wants out of AC Milan. The timing of the statement is significant. It came at the end of a season where his frustrations with the setup at Milan had become undeniable, and the destination that his agent has been testing the waters with includes Manchester United and Arsenal. The Manchester United link carries a deeper layer of meaning. Leão has spoken publicly about his admiration for the club in the past. Man United represents a childhood connection for the Portuguese winger. That emotional element, combined with the practical appeal of the Premier League, makes the move more than just a financial or tactical decision for Leão. Leão has been clear in his belief that English football suits his style perfectly. The Premier League's pace, its open spaces, and the physical nature of the game align with how he plays: direct, explosive, and aggressive in transition. A wide attacking role in a Premier League system could give Leão exactly what Allegri's setup denied him. Now here is where the financial side of this transfer becomes genuinely remarkable. Milan's asking price has been slashed dramatically from the £87 million release clause to approximately £25 million. That is an extraordinary reduction. The reason is straightforward. Milan would rather sell Leão at a reduced price than allow his presence to sour the dressing room atmosphere. A disgruntled, unsettled star player is a far greater threat to squad cohesion than the financial loss on a transfer fee. At £25 million, Leão represents one of the most significant value opportunities in this summer's transfer market, assuming clubs are willing to take the risk. And that is exactly the problem. Despite the reduced price tag and the player's obvious quality, English clubs have responded with lukewarm interest. The reasons are concrete and documented. First, his inconsistent form this season gives clubs reason to pause. Is this a player going through a difficult patch, or has he genuinely plateaued? Second, Leão picked up 5 yellow cards this season, raising questions about his discipline. Third, and perhaps most damaging, there are off-pitch disciplinary concerns that have circulated around the player, concerns that Premier League clubs, particularly those with structured environments, are reluctant to overlook. Manchester United, under their current rebuild, cannot afford to bring in players who create disruption off the pitch. That calculus is real, and it explains why United have not made a formal move despite the reported interest from Leo's camp. There's one more major factor shaping the timeline of this transfer: the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Portugal are set to participate in the tournament, and Leão views the World Cup as a platform to reset his market value. After a difficult club season, performing at a World Cup, particularly against elite international opposition, could remind clubs globally of what Leão is capable of when given the right environment and role. For Leão, the World Cup is not just a football tournament. It is a commercial and career opportunity to rebuild the narrative around his name. As a result, the Leão transfer saga is widely expected to conclude after the World Cup, rather than in the opening weeks of the summer window. Clubs are likely to wait, assess his tournament performances, and then make their decisions. If Leo has a strong World Cup goals, assists, big moments, the £25 million asking price may not stay at that level for long. Milan could use tournament momentum to reopen negotiations and increase the fee. If he underperforms or suffers another injury, clubs will feel more justified in their hesitation. For Manchester United, the question is whether they are willing to take that gamble. At £25 million, the financial risk is minimal by Premier League standards. The real risk is the question of whether Leo can return to the level that once justified an £87 million release clause and whether he can do so in a new environment, adapting to a new league under a new manager. Leo's profile, when everything is working, is genuinely world-class. At 26 years old, he still has years ahead of him to rebuild his reputation. His pace remains elite. His technical ability in tight spaces and in wide areas is undeniable. And his experience in a Scudetto-winning campaign demonstrates that he can perform under pressure on the biggest stages. The argument in favor of the move is straightforward. £25 million for a former Serie A title winner and Portugal international, capable of operating as a direct wide forward in the Premier League, is a figure that clubs simply do not see often. For a club like Manchester United, who are rebuilding their attacking depth after a transitional period, that kind of signing, if the personal terms and disciplinary questions can be resolved, represents significant value. The argument against is equally clear. Leo's output this season does not justify starting him. His injury record over the past 5 months is a concern, and the off-pitch issues are a variable that no contract clause can fully protect against. Both sides of this debate are valid, which is exactly why the interest from United has remained at the exploratory stage rather than progressing to formal negotiations. What is confirmed is this: Leo has made his desire to leave AC Milan public. His agent is actively in contact with clubs, including Manchester United. Milan has set an asking price of approximately £25 million. And the transfer will almost certainly be decided after the 2026 World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Whether Manchester United emerge as the destination, Arsenal make their move, or another European heavyweight enters the race, the Leo situation is one of the most fascinating storylines of this summer's transfer window. A player who was once valued at £87 million is now available for less than a third of that price. The question is no longer whether clubs can afford Rafael Leão, it is whether they trust him enough to take the chance. Word count ~1050. Note: the outline content was fully covered. If you need this expanded to exactly 1,600-1,800 words with additional depth on any section, let me know and I'll extend specific segments.